The porch light. The rain had been falling since dawn, tapping softly against the tall windows of the Whitmore estate, as if nature itself mourned a day meant for celebration. Under the grand chandelier, florists rushed with delicate bouquets of white peonies and blue forget-me-nots, while servers in crisp uniforms moved like a silent ballet across the marble floors. Everything glimmered crystal glasses, polished silver, the shine on the staircase rail. The scent of imported lilies mixed with expensive perfume and nerves. Upstairs, in the farthest room on the second floor, Isabel Whitmore stood in front of a full-length mirror draped in silk and lace. The wedding gown fit flawlessly tailored to accentuate every graceful line of her tall frame. Her hair had been pinned into soft waves with jeweled clips, and a gossamer veil cascaded down her back like breath caught in motion. She was the image of bridal perfection, and yet the reflection staring back at her felt like a stranger. Downstairs, her mother's sharp voice barked instructions to the planner, while her father laughed with a congressman near the bar cart. A quartet rehearsed Vivaldi somewhere near the garden pavilion. Everything was on schedule. Everything except her. "Stop fidgeting," her mother snapped, tugging the veil into place with cold efficiency. "The photographer will be here soon. You don't want to look anxious in the pictures." Isabel didn't answer. She had long ago mastered the art of silent sof, pressing feelings down beneath posture and poise. But today her heart wasn't uneasy. It was screaming. She nodded politely, the kind of nod expected from a Whitmore. Her mother stepped back and examined her like a jeweler appraising a piece of property. "You look perfect," she said flatly. "Every girl in the state would kill to be in your shoes." But Isabel's shoes felt like concrete. Her fiancé, Donovan Hale, had arrived earlier in a limousine with blacked-out windows. He kissed her cheek and told her she looked elegant, then disappeared into the study with her father. She hadn't seen him since. From the hallway, she'd overheard them discussing golf memberships, real estate mergers, and PAC donations. Not one mention of love. Not one mention of her. It was close to 11 when she quietly slipped into the adjoining bathroom and locked the door. The sound of the lock clicking echoed like a shot. She sat on the edge of the clawfoot tub, the veil still clinging to her shoulders like a net. Silence filled the tiled room in a way that was almost deafening. Her hands shook as she reached up to remove her earrings. One fell into the sink and disappeared down the drain. She leaned closer to the mirror. Her eyes, once full of dreams of poetry, travel, and books read in sunlit caves, looked flat, glazed. Her lips, perfectly painted, quivered slightly. She realized, with sudden clarity, that she couldn't do it. She couldn't walk down the aisle, couldn't smile for photographers, couldn't sign her life over like a contract. Not to Donovan. Not to the family legacy. Not like this. Her fingers found the zipper at the back of the gown. For a moment, it resisted. Then it gave. She stepped out of the dress carefully, as if peeling off another person's skin. Beneath a pile of garment bags in the closet, she had hidden a simple outfit, a soft gray blouse and a pair of worn jeans. Just in case. Her hand stopped shaking as she changed. She laced up her sneakers, pulled her hair into a braid, and grabbed the small leather backpack she had stuffed with some cash, her ID, and an old paperback novel she refused to leave behind. The Whitmore estate had many exits. She used the one by the greenhouse, ducking behind hedges as a valet passed by. The rain had turned steady now, soaking her braid and blouse, but she welcomed it. It reminded her she was still alive. She hailed a taxi from the end of the private drive, gave the driver the name of a train station she'd picked at random. He glanced at her in the rearview mirror, but didn't ask questions. Just nodded and turned up the wipers. At the station, she bought a one-way ticket to a town she had never heard of, Wesley Creek. 3 hours away and tucked in the quiet center of the state. She chose it for the name. It sounded ordinary. Safe. The train was nearly empty. She sat by a window, her hood pulled over her head, and watched the city dissolve into green pastures and winding roads. The rain followed the glass like fingertips drawing new paths. She stared at her palms, now clean, but still felt the ghost of the engagement ring. She had left it behind on the bathroom vanity next to a handwritten note. "I am sorry. I can't do this. By the time the train pulled into the Wesley Creek depot, the sky had darkened to a soft lavender. The platform was quiet. No one was waiting. She stepped down carefully, her shoes splashing in puddles. There were no signs, no taxis. Just one cracked road leading into the distance. She walked. The rain returned, gentler this time. The road wound past fields and barns, past mailbox posts leaning like tired shoulders. Lights flickered in a few distant windows. Still, she kept walking, her breath fogging in the chill. And then headlights. An old pickup truck rumbled toward her, slow and steady. She considered hiding, but her feet ached, her clothes were soaked, and her hope had already worn thin. The truck stopped. The window rolled down, revealing a man in his late 30s or early 40s. Flannel shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbow, hands resting easy on the wheel. His voice was calm. "You all right?" She swallowed. "Just passing through. You need to get out of the rain?" She hesitated, but the answer was in her shivering. He reached across and opened the door. The truck smelled like hay and old coffee. The heater rattled to life. He didn't ask for her name, and she didn't offer it. They drove down a gravel path, past an orchard and toward a farmhouse with a glowing porch light. A dog barked once, then quieted. Inside, the house was plain but warm. Exposed beams, wood floors, a fire dancing behind screen. He handed her a towel, offered clean socks, and gestured toward the spare room. She didn't speak, just nodded. That night, she lay beneath handmade quilts that smelled of cedar. The wind howled outside, but the room was silent in a way she hadn't known in years. She slept. In the morning, she awoke to the sound of wind chimes and the scent of coffee. Her damp clothes had been replaced with a neatly folded flannel shirt and jeans too big, but clean. Downstairs, the man was at the stove, flipping eggs in a cast iron skillet. He glanced up and nodded. "Morning." "Good morning," she replied, voice rough. He handed her a mug of coffee. No questions. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It made space for breath. "My name's Eli," he said eventually. "Isabel," she answered. "But you can call me Izzy." He nodded. And that was that. She stayed. Not because she was asked. Not because she had nowhere else to go. But because for the first time in years she felt like she was somewhere she could simply be. She learned the rhythm of the farm. Mornings began with eggs and feed buckets. She learned to sweep the barn aisle, mend a broken gate, knead dough with steady hands. Her skin grew sun-kissed, her palms calloused. Her breath came easier. Her silence no longer felt like a cage. Eli didn't ask about her past. He offered tools, not opinions. He let her figure things out for herself. When she broke a rake, he helped her fix it, no lecture, no fuss. And slowly, something inside her began to mend. They worked side by side, often without speaking. He showed her how to space seedlings, how to coax stubborn goats into pens. She learned how to tell when a storm was coming just by the way the air shifted. One afternoon, she cut her hand on a broken fence slat. Eli cleaned it gently, wrapped it in gauze, and simply said, "Wear gloves next time." The fence fights back. She smiled despite the sting. Lesson learned. He chuckled. "You're a quick study." Weeks passed. She planted wildflowers by the porch. She painted the spare room a soft shade of cream and turned it into a space of her own with sketches on the wall and books stacked in crooked towers. Eli left her small gifts: fresh gloves, a jar of honey, a folded map of trails beyond the orchard. They shared meals, laughter, quiet. She found a part-time job at the town library, leading the children's story hour. She used her first paycheck to buy new curtains for the kitchen and a second-hand couch. Eli helped her carry it in, laughing when it got stuck in the doorway. One evening, under a sky streaked with fire and gold, she stood beside him at the edge of the field. "You've changed," he said. She smiled. "Maybe I'm just becoming myself." He reached for her hand. "Then keep becoming." She leaned into him. They didn't need to define it. Not yet. But the day he brought her to the old oak tree near the creek and revealed a bench he had built with his own hands, draped in ribbons that danced in the wind, she understood. He held out a small wooden box. Inside, a silver ring with a single stone. No kneeling. No speech. Just, I don't want perfect. I want you. She said yes. Yes to the ring. Yes to the life. Yes to the woman she was finally becoming. Their wedding was held beneath that oak tree. Just neighbors and wildflowers, children laughing barefoot through the grass, and a goat that tried to eat the bouquet. She wore a dress she'd sewn herself. They exchanged vows that only the wind heard. And when the sun set and the porch light glowed behind them, they sat on the steps shoulder to shoulder, fingers entwined. Not escaping, not pretending, just home. And it was only just beginning.